a wildfire call-out. The Pike hotshots must mobilize in 2 hours or less.
Anchoring right on top of the hill. There's at the heel.
The firefighting team trains like it's real.
So when it's time to go, it's time to go. And they better be ready, which is why we do so much work in preparation.
Firefighting trucks, equipped with things like foam for structure protection, are a big help. They also have limited access. The hotshots are an elite team, going where other crews can't.
We go into the steepest, most inaccessible areas of the fire, the most difficult usually.
On their back, everything needed for a 2 to 3 week deployment. With teamwork and working shoulder to shoulder, in just minutes, these guys can create a line that'll cut off a fire.
So each guy takes a piece of the line. When they're all through, we have good 12 inches of clean dirt.
Physical ability, basic tools, but make no mistake, there are also tactics and skill.
But that's part of it, it's knowledge,
Yeah.
It's not just equipment then, huh?
Yes, it is. You need to know what you're doing, what the fire behavior is doing, what the weather's going to be.
These crews also know the danger posed by wildfire, a reality prevention pros hope everyone recognizes.
Don't just ignore it, and you definitely don't want to say, it's not my problem or it won't affect me.
A glimpse at readiness, not to put everyone at ease, it's evidence of wildfire risk in Colorado. Bill Folsom, News First 5.
Now to the fourth stage of the Pro Cycling Challenge through the streets of Colorado Springs today. It involves 70 miles of pedaling. Thousands of people line the course, starting at the Broadmoor, then going back and forth between Garden of the Gods and downtown Colorado Springs. Bill Folsom was in the crowd. He's live from downtown. And Bill, you were tweeting information and photos all afternoon. Did it live up to the hype?
Oh, it really did. Just a lot of people. Right now they're getting ready to take down the finish line. But here in Colorado Springs, it was more than that. The cyclists came here down Tejon under that multiple times, and each time they came through, well, the crowd just got more amped. The promise was that this was going to be the most exciting stage so far. The crowd confirmed to us it was a lot of fun. World-class riders racing in Colorado Springs.
Look at all the people that come out just to support all the talent.
I want my boys to be a part of such a great event that goes on in this state.
Thousands of fans line the course.
What do you guys think about all this?
Pretty fun. This is really cool. This is like my first time ever being at like a really big race.
Many had cleared the calendar to spend a Thursday afternoon watching the race.
Had to take a half day off work. Got the babysitter all set out.
Yeah. We planned ahead for this.
Stage 4 in Colorado Springs routed the race past fans again and again and again.
4-lap circuit, so this is one of the best days for viewing for the fans.
Yelling at them like, go, you can do it. It looked pretty fast, yeah.
The power, energy, and speed of world-class riders is even more evident in person.
You know, as a cyclist, you kind of know when you see the speeds, like how, awesome they really are, but when you just feel the force of that whole peloton come by, it's pretty awesome.
You really could feel it hit you as they came by. Now, there were thousands of people, but at times, especially early on, it was deceptive because they were spread out from Garden of the Gods, Old Colorado City, here downtown. But there was an interesting thing that happened. Each time the racers came through here on Tejon, it got more crowded. By the last lap, it was shoulder to shoulder down here because people wanted to be here for the finish. And as those racers came down after 70 miles with legs burning, well, Colorado Springs put up a booming roar to welcome them to the finish line. Live in Colorado Springs, Bill Folsom, News 5.
Only on News 5, the U.S. Department of Justice investigating a series of ADA violations in Trinidad.
The disabled there say many of the public buildings and sidewalks not accessible. They address concern with city leaders, but say they are turning a blind eye to that problem.
Here's investigative reporter Eric Ross.
Unless you are disabled and use a wheelchair to get around, you probably wouldn't think about whether a door is wide enough for a wheelchair to get through, whether a public building has an entrance ramp, or whether sidewalks have curb ramps to help those with special needs safely cross the street. There are ADA standards that address these very issues, but as we found out, they aren't always followed. Stephen Hamer is confined to a wheelchair, but that doesn't stop him from getting around town. Or at least attempting to.
In many, many parts of the city, you have trees, signs, and lampposts in the middle of a sidewalk.
Let's pause for a second. You could clearly see not one, not two, but 6 obstacles on this side of the street.
What that does is it forces you out onto the roadway.
And into traffic, where Hamer says he's been stopped by police twice.
And the police were coming by and saying, "What are you doing on the roadway?" They turned a blind eye to the very obstructions that were creating the discrimination. Then they wanted to punish you by giving you a ticket.
That's not all he's mad about, pointing out many of the sidewalks are in disrepair. Some are not wheelchair friendly at all.
There is a glaring example of an American with Disabilities Act standard violation right there.
From a side view, you could clearly see how steep this ramp is. Also, take notice the ramp tilts toward the roadway. Hamer says if you're not careful and try and go up it too quickly, you'll tip your wheelchair over and into oncoming traffic.
That ramp is 11 times too steep. The problem with the city of Trinidad is they have countless intersections like this where there are no curb cuts or curb ramps.
At the intersection of Main and Chestnut, there is a wheelchair accessible ramp. But when you make it across the street, you hit a curb.
Wheelchairs have to go out on the street and come through the driveway to get to the post office.
Perhaps one of the biggest issues that rubbed Hamer the wrong way happened when he brought up numerous ADA violations inside of all places, City Hall. Hamer claims there wasn't a wheelchair accessible restroom and that he couldn't fit through the doors.
I talked to the city manager at the time, and the city put a porta potty out in the parking lot for the disabled. It was a wheelchair accessible porta potty. And I told the city in June that I didn't want to visit this issue in the fall and in the winter.
Hamer took his concerns up the ladder, filing this formal complaint with the U.S. Department of Justice. Documents obtained by News 5 Investigates confirm the agency does have an active investigation, but we wanted answers from the city.
We are doing everything we can to become ADA compliant.
I want to show you this picture and tell me if that's acceptable in your mind. I mean, there's trees growing out of the middle of the sidewalk and then there's a lamppost. Clearly a wheelchair cannot get by that.
That particular side of the street on Church is not wheelchair accessible.
We're an old city, and a lot of our sidewalks and intersections don't comply with current ADA standards.
The city says that is changing. The city has set aside $82,000 this year for ADA projects, more than 25 times what they spent last year. And the city has also installed a unisex bathroom on the first floor of City Hall. We also checked and found the council chamber is accessible, with 3 clearly marked seats for the disabled. As for getting through other smaller doors in the building, for instance, the mayor's office, the city says Hamer simply has an oversized wheelchair which won't fit. Back to the downtown street where Hamer makes his daily commute. City leaders are planning a new revitalization project which they say will address Hamer's ADA concerns.
We're going to be revamping Commercial Street and various other streets this year. As we do that kind of thing, we absolutely want to ensure that our thoroughfares or our sidewalks are completely ADA compliant.
The city reiterates they are aware of all ADA issues Hamer informed the U.S. Department of Justice on and says construction to fix the issues is not an overnight process. However, they say they are ready to break ground on the multi-million-dollar revitalization project on Commercial Street and are soliciting bids as we speak. The U.S. Department of Justice is awaiting a formal response from the city on the ADA violations complaint. We'll continue tracking this story for you. For the latest developments, log on to our website, KOAA.com. Eric Ross, News 5 Investigates.
Well, new at 10, suggestive pictures of a Colorado Springs mayoral candidate have turned up online tied to adult businesses and escort services, but she says she's the victim. Our News 5 investigation also turned up a criminal record. Reporter Zach Thaxton talked exclusively to candidate Justine Herring and has the story.
Adult websites are explicit, but they walk the legal line. Dates and other services available for donations. As one ad reads, the woman in the ads, Colorado Springs mayoral candidate Justine Herring.
Is that you?
Looks like it, doesn't it?
The phone number listed on the adult escort sites, the very same cell phone she uses for her mayoral campaign, is also attached to ads dating back to 2009.
There are numerous photos attached to those sites.
Lord. Okay, well, this interview's over. God bless you. Thank you.
Initially, Herring bristles when confronted with the images, but then sticks around to answer every one of our questions. After our initial interview, we talked on the phone for additional clarification. She is adamant that she is not only not connected to the ads, but that no one has ever called her requesting adult services.
You have or have not received calls from people, anyone?
I've never received a call requesting any type of, what did you call it, an escort service.
She admits the pictures are hers. But if she didn't place the ads over the last 5 years, who did?
Criminals had access to my home to include my internet, my phones, my money, my jewelry, credit cards, everything.
She suspects a scattering of former housemates and gives us specific names. But there's still no solid explanation of how the images ended up on the sites, nor who put them there.
When somebody has access to your home computer, they can pull any picture they want and do whatever they want.
We take her at her word, but there is more. Herring has a criminal history, specifically DUI and restraining orders, a past Herring freely admits to.
I gave you my conviction. Violation of a protection order, a permanent restraining order, and a DUI I got in Pueblo blowing a .011.
Just days into her first foray into politics, Herring insists she's not dodging tough questions and will answer them all during the course of her campaign, as well as all pertinent questions pertaining to the issues facing the city.
I believe that we're looking for solutions for the city, not excuses. So I'm not going to make excuses about somebody who used to have that phone number.
In Colorado Springs, Zach Thaxton, News 5 Investigates.
Now, Herring gave us very specific information about who may have posted her likeness on those adult escort sites. We are investigating her assertions thoroughly.